Hey YouTube, I just wanted to make this video detailing how to change the oil on a third gen Toyota Tacoma. This one in particular is a 2019 TRD 4x4, but they've all got the same 3.5 liter motor, so it'll apply to two-wheel drive as well. Go ahead and start the truck. The idea here is you want to just start it up and let it run a minute or two. You want the oil just to warm up a little bit, circulate around the motor. That way it drains a little more freely. If your truck has been running, we recommend parking it and letting it sit for 30 minutes or so. That way it's not scalding hot because it can burn you. Pop the hood. A lot of people actually just go ahead and drain the oil, but it's always a good idea to actually check your dipstick first. You want to just see if the oil is at the same level that it was last time you changed the oil. It's just going to help you keep on top of if your engine is burning oil or anything like that. The oil, the color, consistency can help you determine other problems before they become too big of an issue. Go ahead and loosen the oil filler cap. Just leave it loose. Just helps the oil drain out a little better. We'll need to remove this skid plate. It can be held on by 4 12mm bolts. One here, down at the bottom, and that's the fourth one there. After the 4 bolts are out, it'll just lift off of these hangers here and out of the way. The skid plate we actually remove in order to be able to find the oil filter, which is right there. Behind this second skid plate, there'll be a hole, and that is your oil drain plug there, which is a 14mm. We'll go ahead and loosen that next. You'll want to make sure that you have a oil drain pan handy. I usually go ahead and just crack it open. Get the drain pan closed. Go ahead and just let that drain. Moving on to the oil filter, there are a couple things you will need. There is a drain on the actual canister of the oil filter. You're going to need to use a 3/8 inch drive to remove that cap. The oil filters you buy at the store will come with one of these. So this end with the barbs will actually fit into there and drain the oil from the canister. What I've done is put a piece of hose onto mine. I have this Tacoma, and I also have a 2013 Toyota Tundra with the 4.6 motor. Both use this. To actually remove the oil filter housing itself, you'll need one of these Toyota oil filter wrenches. I use it for this 2019 Toyota Tacoma, my 2013 Toyota Tundra with the 4.6, and this also actually works for a 2010 Toyota Corolla with the 1.8 motor. It does work for a lot of Toyota and Lexus models. Definitely worth the investment to get a good solid one. Before reinstalling your drain plug, you want to just make sure that you get the bolt and the washer nice and clean. A lot of people say that you should change your washer out every single time. If you want to do that, that's fine, but I don't. This is the original washer that's on this truck, and it's got about 50, just under 50,000 miles now. As long as they're not super crushed, they should be fine. Like I said, change it if you want to. I also torque it down to the factory specs, which is what I think helps these last so long. I've only got one drain pan. It's a little bit far from the oil drain plug to the filter, so what I'm gonna go ahead and do is put the drain plug back in, and that is 30 foot-pounds. Drain pan in place. Want to use the 3/8 drive to remove this little cap on the end of the canister here. A lot of times a little bit of oil comes out. There's an O-ring on the end of the canister right here, which should be replaced every time. Grab the little barb fitting here, put the hose in the drain pan, and it is a little bit of a tight fit. But you want to just push this in there firmly, and you'll see the oil starts to drain there. Once that's done draining, just go ahead and take it out. Want to go ahead and get the oil filter cap wrench here. It's important to note that you line up these teeth with the little ears. This sometimes can be a little tight. The next step is going to be to get the oil filter canister ready to go back in the motor. The O-ring that goes at the bottom there usually for me comes off with a little barb fitting that you use to drain the oil. Go ahead and take the oil filter element out. I use a Wix filter. That's the part number there. It'll come with 2 O-rings, filter itself, and the little barb fitting I was talking about. Before we put the oil filter in there, just use a little screwdriver to get under the O-ring and pull that off. Open up the pack with the new O-rings. You want to use just a little bit of fresh oil to lubricate that before you put it on. And this should just slide on like that. Make sure it goes in the correct groove there. The small O-ring should be lubricated as well. Go ahead and put it on at the bottom there. Reinstall the cap, finger tight. Go ahead and put the filter on. It is not directional. Usually just put the riding side up there. Push it in. There is a little spring in there, so you can push on it to make sure it's seated. Go ahead and reinstall the filter canister. I usually just go ahead and screw it in all the way by hand. I highly recommend getting a torque wrench. There is some really inexpensive ones out there. The one I have, I think I bought for 20 bucks or so at Harbor Freight. The oil filter cap is going to be 18 foot-pounds. Line up the teeth. So that wasn't much past hand tight there. The little cap to drain the oil canister is going to be 10 foot-pounds. At this point, we can go ahead and start putting oil back in the truck. Make sure you got a clean funnel. We went back and double checked. It's going to be 6.2 quarts with an oil filter change for the 3.5 in the 3rd Gen Tacoma. Go ahead and reinstall the cap. In order to reset the service light, you're going to want to just get in the truck. Don't put your foot on the brake, but press the start button. That'll put it into accessory mode. Sorry, press it one more time. That's accessory mode there. So you want to go all the way to the right. Go down to settings. You want to go to maintenance, reset maintenance reminder. Yes. Maintenance reset complete. Go ahead and start the truck. Once the truck's been on for a couple minutes, you can go ahead and shut it off. This is a good time to go ahead and check for leaks. The skid plate is going to go onto these hooks here. Usually like to put the back bolts in a couple of threads first. Get the front ones in. I don't think the torque on the skid plate is super important. I've never torqued it down. I just make sure it's hand tight and a little past that. It's a little hard to see, but right at the top there. That's all there is to changing your oil.